As an independent content creator, my work on all channels and platforms is sustained through the generous donations of supporters and comrades, and allows me to focus as much time as possible on content creation. My PayPal is in the description of this video for anyone who is able and would like to contribute. Thank you. I'm Comrade Shane, and welcome to Juche Lessons. Economic self-sufficiency is the guiding principle to implement independence in the economic field. To implement independence in the economic field is an important issue to consolidate independence of a country and ensure Juche in ideology, independence in politics, self-reliance in defense, and provide the people with independent and creative lives materially. General Secretary Kim Jong-il said, quote, "In order to implement the principle of economic self-sufficiency, one must build an independent national economy." Building an independent national economy means building an economy which is free from dependence on others and which stands on its own 2 feet. An economy which serves one's own people and develops on the strength of the resources of one's own country and by the efforts of one's own people." Unquote. The building of an independent national economy has 2 contents. One is to build the economy that serves the people, and the other is to build the economy that depends on one's own resources of the country and the strength of the people. To build an economy that serves the people means to build an economy that can satisfy diverse and ever-increasing material needs with one's own production. Such an economy is multi-sided and comprehensive in its structure. When the economic structure becomes multi-sided and comprehensive, one can satisfy diverse and ever-increasing material needs with one's own production. So, the economy that serves the people in the country should be multi-sided and comprehensive in structure. Such an economy should also be based on the latest science and technology. This is necessary to satisfy ever-increasing material need on one's own effort and liberate the people from arduous labor. The latest science and technology means a high level of scientific and technological basis of the economic activities and makes it possible to rapidly grow production by enhancing productive efficiency, and thus makes the national economy serve the people's independent and creative life. It is the other essential content of building an independent national economy to build the economy that develops depending on the resources of the country and the strength of the people. The direct agent of building the economy is the people, and their country has raw materials and fuels to build and develop the economy that serves the people. Of course, one can use foreign strength and resources in building the economy, but it is impossible to build the economy according to one's will and desire when dependent on foreign raw materials and fuel. Dependency on others means the deprivation of one's economy, which is subjugated. This can be understood by the fact that many developing countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America that manage the economy depending on foreign capital received millions of dollars of emergent relief fund, again from the IMF and World Bank after the destructive financial crisis, and thus had to be under the submissive, quote, mandate and imposed upon severe, quote, adjustment of structure, losing economic self-sufficiency. As these mandates and adjustment of structure, what they really mean is, if you cannot make your payment or you cannot pay enough back to the IMF or World Bank, well, now you're going to need to cut education. You're going to need to lower your consumption. And this is forced upon you by these IMF, World Bank foundations which are run by the imperialists. The economy that depends on the resources of the country and on the strength of the people is the economy that develops depending on one's own raw materials, technique, and national technical personnel. One's own resources, technique, and national technical personnel are inevitable factors for the building of an independent national economy. Only depending on these factors is it possible to build a self-sufficient economy. The building of an independent national economy is the essential contents of building the economy that serves the people and develops depending on one's own resources and strength of the people. This makes it possible to make economic self-sufficiency. And it is necessary to be self-sufficient in the economy because the economy, of course, is the material basis of social life. In other words, this means that social life cannot have a material guarantee apart from the economy. In social life are political life and cultural life, but these lives cannot exist apart from material conditions. Humanity can lead political life only when they eat and is clothed, and for this end, they should have different material means. So is the case of cultural life. It is impossible to lead cultural life such as education, art, literature, sports, and public health apart from the material needs. In this sense, the economy is called the material basis of social life. This being the case, only when one is independent in the economy is it possible to ensure independence of the people in all fields of social life. When one is independent in the economy, one can consolidate the independence of a country and lead an independent life. Economic self-sufficiency is one of the most important criteria of an independent sovereign state. Although one might be independent in politics, it is meaningless if one is dependent in the economy. That country might be an independent country in name, but not actuality. Apart from the economy, social life is inconceivable. So how can a country that is dependent in the economy be called an independent sovereign state? The country that depends on others in economy will follow others and cannot be free from subordination of slaves and debt. In the past, many countries were deprived of their countries and had to live as colonial slaves. And today, many countries gain political independence but cannot be completely free from the domination and subjugation of the imperialists, who use these economic means to restrict the material reality of a country while allowing it to have a token of independence. This is what we call neo-imperialism and neo-colonialism. Economic self-sufficiency is necessary to live on one's own efforts. As long as there is country and border, economic life is made with a country as a unit. So each country should manage its economy on its own efforts. It is therefore important to be self-sufficient in the economy to live on one's own efforts. When one is independent in the economy to produce what one needs, mainly on one's own, they can lead a dignified and independent life. Now in this process, one can import what one needs through foreign trade. One can buy certain things, but not all things. If one buys all things, one will spend a lot of money and consume a lot of time. For instance, in Korea, when it tried to produce tractors, others claimed that a small country does not need to produce them when it buys them from other countries. Anti-party reactionaries went against the production of tractors, saying that it didn't pay. At that time, President Kim Il-sung said that if Korea buys 3,500 tractors annually, it would take more than 10 years to buy 35,000 tractors, and stressed that Korea should produce them on their own strength, even if it costs a lot of money. So Korea produced the first one as a sample, and eventually further produced many, many tractors. What would be the result if it bought instead of building a tractor factory? Then it would have begged for them, even today, failing to mechanize the rural economy. This tells us that economic self-sufficiency leads to dignified and independent life. Economic self-sufficiency is the inevitable condition for ensuring Juche in ideology, independence in politics, and self-reliance in defense. Economic self-sufficiency is the material conditions to ensure the principle of Juche in ideology. To establish Juche in ideology means to arm the people with independent ideological consciousness. If one is weaker than others and dependent on others, one will look upon others. When one is self-sufficient in the economy, one can manage the economy on one's own, enhance national pride and self-respect, and firmly establish Juche in ideology. Economic self-sufficiency also makes it possible to maintain independence in politics. If one is economically dependent, one is not free in the political field. And when each country is independent in economy, it can repudiate others, interference and pressure, and ensure independent politics. Economic self-sufficiency also makes it possible to keep the principle of self-reliance in defense. If one is dependent on others in the economy, one cannot build a powerful military industry. Economic dependency makes it impossible to equip the army with modern weapons, nor arm the people militarily, nor make the whole country a fortress. If a country has no powerful military industry, it would have to import a huge amount of military equipment from other countries, and this would be difficult. In order to adhere to the principle of self-reliance in defense, it is necessary to provide weapons and combat equipment on one's own, and for this end, it is important to build a powerful, self-sufficient economy. So, as you can see, economic self-sufficiency is an inevitable requirement for realizing people's independence in all fields of social life. That's all for this episode. Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you have any ideas for future videos you'd like to see on the channel, please leave your suggestions in the comments. Be sure to check out our other social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Red salute, comrades.
그때처럼 우리가 살고 있는가? 그때처럼 우리가 살고 있는가? 내 젊은 시절 추억도 많은 사진첩을 펼칠 때면 전하의 그날 옛 선우들이 나를 보고 물어보네. 그때처럼 우리가 살고 있는가? 그때처럼 우리가 살고 있는가? 낙동강을 넘으며 돈길을 뿌리던 그때 그날처럼 잊을 수 없는 색낡은 사진 한 장 두 장 번질 때면 빈터 위에서 젖삽을 뜨던 전우